Did you ever wonder how high the GSLV Mark III rocket was? Well, to give you an idea, here's a stack of 25 rickshaws next to it. Chandrayaan 2, which means moon vehicle in Sanskrit, is the second lunar exploration vehicle mission from the Indian Space Research Organization, also known as ISRO. Actually, this mission was initially a joint mission between ISRO and the Russian Federal Space Agency, or Roscosmos. In 2007, it was agreed that Russia would be in charge of the lander, while India would develop the orbiter and the rover. But then, the Russians withdrew from the deal, so ISRO decided to take ownership of the entire mission. You need to understand that in 2012, the Russians had a major setback when the Phobos Grunt mission failed. The Phobos Grunt mission was supposed to land on Phobos, one of the two natural satellites of Mars, and bring a sample back to Earth. But the mission never left the orbit around Earth. Apparently, some of the technical aspects of Chandrayaan 2 were linked to the Phobos Grunt mission, so they decided to withdraw. Now back to Chandrayaan 2. It's composed of three key elements: the orbiter, the lander, and the rover. They all carry various pieces of equipment to perform a wide array of experiments. The orbiter will be maintained on the circular orbit around the moon. The lander is mainly designed to ensure a soft landing on the moon. It is named Vikram after Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, regarded as the father of the Indian space program. And finally, the rover is a small vehicle that will roll around the moon's surface. It's called Pragyan, which in Sanskrit translates to wisdom. Of course, to be able to launch all this, ISRO will be using their biggest launcher available, the GSLV Mark III. Here's how the mission will go. The launch starts with the two strap-on S-200 boosters to provide the thrust to lift off. A little under 2 minutes after takeoff, the two Vikas engines turn on to increase the thrust. Around 20 seconds later, the boosters separate and fall back down. Once the atmosphere is light enough not to create any drag, the payload fairing also separates. 5 minutes after takeoff, the Vikas engines turn off and separate a few seconds later. This is immediately followed by the cryogenic upper stage turning on and providing the final thrust before releasing the payload into orbit. The payload is now in its geocentric phase. It's turning around the Earth. The strategy adopted by ISRO to reach the moon is to have several small orbit raising maneuvers instead of going directly to the moon. This is quite smart and very energy efficient. Each maneuver increases the orbit distance until finally, a small final push is required to leave the Earth's orbit and get pulled in by the moon. As I'm recording this is where the payload is right now, and it should reach the moon in a few days. That's when it will enter its selenocentric phase. The initial trajectory around the moon is a little complicated, but then it stabilizes in a 100-kilometer circular orbit. The orbiter will stay on this orbit. The lander will detach and get onto a 30 by 100 kilometer elliptical orbit, during which it will do a final check of its internal equipment. It will stay there for 4 days before performing a final burn to slow down and land on the moon towards the South Pole. During the final descent, which will last approximately 15 minutes, the thrusters will slow down the lander until it stabilizes a few meters above ground. From there, the lander will fall, attracted by the lunar gravity, which is 6 times less compared to Earth's. Once landed, if everything goes correctly, the rover will get out and start its 14-day mission. During the mission, the rover will only be able to communicate with the lander. The lander will communicate back, but it can also communicate with the orbiter as well as with Earth. As for the orbiter, it can exchange with Earth as well as with the lander. If everything goes according to plan, India will be the 4th country to successfully perform a soft landing on the moon after Russia, or USSR, US, and China. Well, I hope you liked this video. I spent a lot of time preparing it, and I tried to keep it not too technical. If you want to watch the video of the launch that I got to see with my son, you can click on the miniature that comes up. And if you want to help me, you can subscribe by clicking on the logo. You can also drop a comment, like the video, or even share it. I don't usually make videos like this, but when I'm interested in a subject, I can. So, see you next time. Bye.